The basic bodice could also be followed by modelling a basic skirt with just 1 or 2 darts here and 1 dart here, and essentially you must try and model a sleeve on the stand yourself. Before starting working the sleeve on the stand, take an oblong piece of calico, about the size that you think you'll need. First of all, and most importantly, square up the fabric to the grain. Take a straight grain mark, put a cross grain mark, and then on that cross grain mark, make 2 marks for the width of your sleeve. Going to do quite a slim arm. We'll mark 32, probably rather narrow. Those 2 points, when turned into a tube of fabric, must come together. That is what ensures that your sleeve will not go corkscrew and twist out of shape when you're working on it. You secure those 2 points and also secure a seam down the arm. You're now ready to pick that up and start modelling the sleeve on the stand. Modelling the sleeve on the stand is probably the most tricky thing that you will ever do. It is a very simple skill in actual fact. What you're attempting to do is to turn a tube of fabric into a sleeve, hanging of course slightly forward on the body as the arm hangs slightly forward, relating to the armhole perfectly, and allowing enough sleeve head to have an ease to allow the sleeve to take over the top of the arm. That sounds very simple, but actually doing it is not that simple. The mistake that most people make when they start modelling a sleeve on the stand is they start working from the top and work their way down. I actually find it very much easier to start at the bottom, i.e. in the underarm position, fixing the sleeve to the underarm at that point, and then working inside the tube of fabric, which is not very easy to do, and bringing the fabric up around the armhole, marrying the fabric in so that it begins to roll away into a tube, finding its pitch into the armhole, front and back, making sure that there are no stresses and strains, that it begins to look, as you can see already, it begins to look somewhat like a sleeve, and eventually moulding the top part of the fabric, allowing a fraction of ease, something that would be in the region of, let us say, 2 to 3 centimeters maximum over that area of the crown, so that what was a few moments ago a flat piece of fabric now begins to actually identify itself with a standard sleeve. Now, I do realize that when I described the technique that we're going to use, that I went very quickly indeed, but that was just to give you an outline of what you're going to master in this exercise. We have the sleeve attached to the body. We have it attached with 1 pin, which is there, fixed at the point where the vertical of the side seam hits the lowest part of the armhole. I am now going to have to attach the sleeve through to the position of the line of pins which describes the armhole on the body, and I am going to work up that curve both front and back, because it is very important that I don't start pinning from the outside of the garment until I am beyond the point at which the sleeve stops becoming the arm and starts becoming the crown. In other words, the cross point about high cross chest level. Having got up to that position, I will then move from inside the armhole to outside the armhole, assessing the sort of look that I've achieved so far. I'm now reasonably happy with the way that the sleeve has gone from inside the armhole up to this cross chest point. And also the sleeve is still pitching very slightly forward in its hang, as it should do. The next stage can be approached in 2 ways. You can either just bundle this over like that and sort it out as best you can. Or you can go a little more gently, which I prefer to do. I will cut through my calico inside, quite tricky to do because there's still a lot of calico in there, but I don't want to get rid of it just yet. Having cut those 2 points, I can now start the business of pitching the crown of the sleeve. I want to allow enough fabric, I'll turn the stand so you can see, so the sleeve can move off the body and drop down vertically, allowing enough place for the muscle at the top of the arm. I'll attach that, I'm bringing the stand back to my viewpoint for the moment, through there, and I will now gently control the excess amount of fabric through this area, using pins to do so. It'll look rather rough at first. And again, I am of course following the pin line that I'd created underneath for the armhole. And I can judge just how much extra fabric I want to use in that area. I'll do this at the front and at the back. I'll show you the front. Looking still a bit rough at the moment, but it's sufficient to get me going. I can go to the back, and again I will be controlling the ease so that it moves around the arm, because I've got to remember that the column of the arm is quite a strong shape, and sleeve has got to sit easily around that shape. The final thing I will do when I'm satisfied will be to draw a line of pins following that crown line right the way round the stand, and I will have my sleeve in position. When you try that exercise, you will find it very difficult at first until you suddenly realize that you're in control of the technique. Before I start the next process of marking up, I need to carefully look at the stand and decide, do I like everything that I have done so far? We will assume that I do like everything here, because we can't spend days and days making this very short film.